The information shared on Podcast of the Paranormal episodes or social media pages is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not intended as a substitute for professional social work advice, assessment, or treatment. This podcast is not meant to diagnose, treat, or provide medical advice. Please do not act or refrain from acting based on anything you hear, see, or read on Podcast of the Paranormal or associated social media. Communicating with Podcast of the Paranormal via email and or social media does not constitute or form a therapeutic alliance. Gabrielle, an operator of Podcast of the Paranormal, is not able to provide therapeutic advice, treatment, or feedback. If you're experiencing a crisis or need professional support, please contact a qualified social worker, therapist, or mental health professional. For crisis support in the United States, please dial 988 for the Crisis and Suicide Lifeline or text HOME to 741-741 for the crisis text line. Again, that is 988 or 741-741 for the crisis text line. In other countries, please search online for crisis hotline and mental health resources in your area. This disclaimer is subject to change without notice. Thank you. Enjoy the podcast. There is nothing wrong with your podcast streaming service. We now control your device. This is not a test. This is Podcast of the Paranormal. Close your curtains and stay away from your windows. Lock your doors, turn off your lights. Get your snacks and drinks ready. Get to your basement or attic. The podcast is about to begin. Hello, it is Gabrielle.
Jody here.
And we are here with another episode of Podcast of the Paranormal. Today, it is just the two of us, and we have our dog here with us. So you'll probably hear him in the background. He's pretty old, and he's our little senior puppy. You're not going to comment?
Comment? No comment. No. I'm just counting down the days.
That's rude.
It is.
He's deaf, and we think he's probably mostly blind.
He's mostly blind. Yeah.
Yeah. And he has dementia.
Which is really fun.
No. So he's pretty much with us all the time. If we're home, he's with us. And we have one of the cats here with us.
And the other one's outside.
Yeah. So
waiting to rip the door off the frame.
Yeah.
When she wants to get in.
Yeah. She'll be doing some construction DIY projects while she's out there.
Some demo.
Yeah. She likes to rip, there's a molding, like a tiny piece of...
It's the jam stop,
Yeah, so the jam stop. She likes to rip it off while she's out there. She'll just pull it. So you'll probably hear her. You'll probably hear the dog snore.
Yeah, I should really fix that, huh? Maybe like glue it down really good.
Yeah.
Glue it.
Yeah.
Nail it. Yeah.
She'll be so mad.
Yeah. Anyway, so what are we here to talk about today?
Today, we are going to talk about some ethical considerations in paranormal investigations.
Oh, is this a social work episode?
Yeah. More of a social work episode, but...
So, what are we going to do here then?
So I have a few topics for us to discuss together. The first is really like the ethics of paranormal investigating. Right? Just kind of that dry topic of ethical considerations and, things that you really need to take into consideration that I just kind of feel isn't really discussed enough within the field.
So why am I here?
Because I thought it would be nice to bounce these topics off you, get your perspective as someone who, doesn't really work in the field of social work where I kind of derive these ethics from.
I'm just here for the comic relief, aren't I?
Yeah. For someone to bounce the topics off of. Yep. Make it a conversation instead of me just, being dry about these topics with everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So where do we start?
So we call it paranormal investigating, but really, in a way, it is research that we're doing. And I always felt that there needed to be a set of ethical guidelines that ensure credibility and integrity with respect to the paranormal investigations. And research in general, when you're doing any kind of research, they do have guidelines like this that are set in place. So why wouldn't you also have guidelines in place when you're researching the paranormal as well? So that's what I thought we could do, was explore different ethics of paranormal investigations.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I created this, I basically reviewed the social work code of ethics and values, and then I used that as my basis to then kind of tailor it into a paranormal ethical framework and guideline. So there'll be things like informed consent. Do you know what that is?
I'm sure you're going to tell me.
So that is basically making sure that the participants are informed of what's going to take place and that they are giving their consent with that knowledge.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
And one other portion of informed consent is the ability to withdraw at any time. You can decide at any time that you no longer want to participate, and then it would end.
Did we give Jeff informed consent when we brought him on to this?
We did.
Did we?
We did.
Yeah, I remember.
And along with informed consent, you get participants' rights, which kind of goes into also that aspect of being able to withdraw whenever they want, right? You also have confidentiality and privacy. So you're not just kind of out there on social media or when you're speaking with people saying, hey, last night I was at 222,
Oh, yeah, you don't want to do that.
Right. And this is what happened, and you're giving away these people's information.
Yeah, advertise to everybody else that they could, do a nice slow drive by.
Right. If you go and knock on their door, they have a haunted house, you know?
Yeah. They don't want to do that.
No. Maintain their confidentiality, maintain the privacy of the clients, whether it be a private residence, whether it's a business. And not only in that aspect, but if you're keeping paper records or digital records, making sure that they're confidential and that they're private as well, so that they can't be something that someone has access to.
Mm-hmm.
Also, respect for cultural beliefs and practices. You're not going into a home where someone has a different religion, a different culture than you, and you're trying to force them to follow your practices, right? You're working within their framework.
So what do you do if you really don't know anything about their religious views?
What do you think you do?
Research.
What do you think would be another option?
I don't know. Where are you going with this?
Ask them.
Oh, you can, of course. Yeah. Kind of on the nose there a little bit, don't you think?
Right. Just ask, right? Ask them.
Wow. I would have never thought of that. I'm not a people person.
Are you serious?
No, I mean, I'd probably ask. I ask questions. I ask
Yeah.
stupid questions all the time.
But I mean, that also should be part of an intake that you're
not
doing
saying
with.
that it's a stupid question to ask, but you know what I'm saying.
Right.
When you're always like, hey, who asked?
Right. Like you have blinders on.
Yeah.
More. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that should be part of any intake that you're doing with any client, right? Learning their cultural beliefs, their practices, their religion, their values, different things like that, so that you're not overstepping.
Yeah.
Or being disrespectful. And then you also have to look at maintaining professionalism and integrity in these investigations, collaboration and peer review, which is when you're going into working with other groups and reviewing things with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ethical dilemmas and decision making. So if you're, kind of goes back to collaboration and peer review too, in a way. If you're having an ethical dilemma in working with someone, you might go into another group and say, hey, this is something I'm running into. Have you experienced that? Has anyone in this community experienced that, right? If you're finding like a wider forum, have you experienced that? Does anyone know how to deal with this? And kind of getting their feedback on it.
So give me like a little quick example, just off the top of your head.
Okay, let's say you go into a home and you are working with a family and you feel that the things that they are saying are paranormal. They might not be paranormal. Maybe they are having a mental health crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how this is manifesting into them thinking that they're having these paranormal experiences. And you need to deal with it in that way, but you don't know how,
mm-hmm.
right? So then you're having this ethical dilemma of how do I let them know that it's not paranormal, but you don't also have the basis, like the understanding and the knowledge to help them in the way that they need it. So then you're reaching out to someone else and you're saying, hey, have you ever come into this? What did you do? Who did you recommend? Did you send them to someone? Like, what could I do?
Right.
Or do you know a group or someone who has had that happen? And what did they do?
Mm-hmm.
Being transparent in your communication with the clients, being within legal compliance and regulatory frameworks, reflection and continuous improvement. So reflection is kind of when you're debriefing in a way. That's the way that I look at it. When you're going to the investigations and then after you're reviewing the evidence, you're getting together, you're talking about it, you're discussing different things that might have come up. And continuous improvement is when you're always kind of growing your knowledge base and learning and expanding on different things, whether it be equipment, whether it be techniques, whether it be your understanding and knowledge of the paranormal in general, right? You're always learning and you're always improving yourself. And in a way, I think it's important to understand that the field is a balance in a number of ways, especially when you're working in a private residence and you're working with the family. They might be scared. They might have different situations that might have happened to them. So you're going in there and you have to balance your curiosity and your exploration with the respect for the location and the people that are residing within.
And I bet you'd have to comfort them too, right? In some cases.
Yeah. They might need that kind of support, right? Just to know, that things are okay and they will be okay.
Yeah, because you get a lot of people that say, hey, you're going to think I'm crazy, but,
right,
X, Y, and Z is happening.
Right. And you're kind of like, hey, you're not crazy.
Yeah, that's why we're here.
Yeah. You also have to look at the safety and comfort of the individuals who are involved. That kind of needs to be like a top priority, whether it be the safety and the comfort of your fellow team members or the people that are in that residence or business, right? Because a lot of the stuff that you do is in the dark. So do they feel safe being in the dark, walking around this location, especially when you have equipment all over? Do they know where the equipment is so they can be safe when they're walking around in the dark? And are they comfortable being in the location while you're doing these investigations? Or are they concerned maybe it isn't safe, right? Do you maybe...
So you're talking more or less of like the teammates you're going in with?
Not only your teammates, but the clients as well. Okay.
Yeah, because we've discussed that before, right? I mean, technically, we don't have to do the investigation in the dark.
Right.
So if they're more comfortable with not doing the investigation in the dark, I mean, it's something you could offer. Right?
Yeah, it's definitely, you could offer something. Hey, like, just so you know, it doesn't need to be an investigation in the dark. Right. We can investigate during the daytime
But it's
hours.
Cooler in the dark.
Yeah, there's less interference in the dark.
Yeah.
You also need to look at how you're giving them that informed consent, right? That should always be a part of your intake process, explaining what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, what the process is, the equipment that you're using, the techniques that you're going to be using. Do they want to be present? Do they not want to be present? Explaining about your debriefing afterwards. And then that allows them to have that informed consent so that they can make these decisions on if they do or do not want to participate in working with you. And then you would also need to let them know, how are you going to protect their confidentiality? What are the risks that are involved with having you come in and investigate, right? And letting them know you do have the ability at any time. If you're uncomfortable, you don't have to participate. We can walk away at any time. Just let us know. You also need to work to protect the vulnerable. And this means that you need to make a conscious effort to protect those who may be more susceptible to harm. Perhaps there's one person in the home that really is a target of this activity. And you really do need to take the steps to make sure that that person will be safe while you're coming in and you're doing this investigation. You really need to focus the efforts to the cultural and the religious beliefs and practices, right? Learn what are those religious beliefs of the homeowner, of the business owner, so that you're able to operate within those. Not everyone shares the same culture, the same religion. So you also kind of need to educate yourself, not only on their religion, on their culture. Ask them about their religion and their culture.
Back to this again, yeah.
That's always, I've found, the easiest and I think the most interesting way as well to learn about someone else's culture, values, religion, because you're asking them and then they're explaining to you what their specific belief is, right? Because you might be able to go and read about whatever their belief is, but if you're actually asking them, you're getting a better understanding of what it might be and how it differs from what your beliefs and your values are. You also need to respect privacy, respect confidentiality. I know that I've brought that up in the past, but it's also really important. You need to avoid becoming personally involved in the lives of your clients. Honesty and integrity needs to be maintained in collecting and reporting data. You need to prioritize the safety of everyone involved, disclose your procedures, and know your limits, right? So practice within your knowledge base is what that means. Know your limit. Don't put out to someone that you may be an expert in something that you don't really have knowledge in. So if you go into a home and you find a situation that you've never experienced before, it's absolutely okay to say that you want to step away. You want time to consult with someone else who may have more knowledge of the situation than you, and that is better able to work with the client. And whether you want to bring them in with you or have them go in alone to kind of work in that situation, that is really, whatever works best for the situation. But it's very important to say, this is something that I am not familiar with. I do not have the tools within myself to be able to assist you in this manner, but I can find someone who can.
So what would be a good example of that?
If you're going into a home and someone's saying, I think I have demons in here, and you're like, well, that's not something that I'm equipped to work with. So let me find someone who is, right? Whether, again, you're looking at their religious needs.
So would that be part of like the intake process then? Like kind of like screening, pre-screening?
Yeah, it could be.
Because you don't want to put yourself in a situation that you could potentially not be ready to deal with or handle. Yeah.
Right. And you also need to look at maintaining everyone's safety. So whether it be something that is disclosed during the intake process or maybe something that you're learning through your investigation, right? But also, I think it's important to note that it's not very often that there is this type of activity that is found.
Yeah.
And I think there's also within the field a lack of regulation. So there's not one standard on how to go about investigations.
Yeah, sure. Everybody has their own process. Everybody has their own methods. And
a lot of people most people, right? How are you learning to do this? You're watching TV shows. You're watching YouTube videos, and you're seeing how those people are conducting themselves and their investigations. And then you're mimicking that and you're learning from that. And, maybe people are doing research to learn things on their own to then go in and do these investigations. But maybe all they're doing is watching these TV shows. And depending on the TV shows you're watching, you might not have the best information to move forward.
Yeah.
And there's also, I feel, pretty heavy pressure to produce evidence. And then there's also misinterpretation of the evidence and data.
Sure.
And misrepresentation in a way. Yeah.
Yeah, you see that a lot on the TV shows. We have EVPs and stuff like that. It's like, oh, we think we heard this.
Right. But I think there's also, I don't know, it's okay to go into a place and not get any evidence.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, the spirits aren't going to perform for you. They're not there for you.
What if you're asking them to jump through flaming hoops? They won't do that for us?
No.
Oh.
No. So it's okay. It's absolutely okay to go somewhere and not get any evidence.
Yeah. And we've said before, a lot of the times that's how investigations go, right?
Yeah.
You could spend a whole night somewhere
talking to yourself.
Not getting anything.
Right. But that's why it's important to have a good team.
Yeah.
Because then you're kind of hanging out with people you like and, you're not just bored in the dark.
Yeah. And it's important to know, what you're supposed to be doing, right?
Yeah.
Maybe start the recorder, talk for a few minutes, stop it, listen back to it, see if you get anything.
Yeah.
Try that a few times over and over again. If you don't get anything, maybe move on.
Yeah. Right? And I know when you're watching these shows, it looks like they're in there not for a long time. It looks like they're not in there for a long time.
It's a half an hour long TV show. So the viewer thinks it's maybe 2 or 3 hours.
Maybe one night.
Or one night.
Right?
Exactly. And then it's compressed into this half-hour show. They could be there for days. They could be there for weeks.
Right.
And then they're taking all these hours of footage and compressing it down into that 30 minutes. So there's the illusion that there's constant activity, but there's not. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a really good way to explain it.
I'd love to talk about the ethics of that too, right? Because they're not telling anybody that when they release these shows, right?
Right. They're definitely not. No. And it's like they're perpetuating it to look like they're there for one night.
Right. I'm looking at our neighbors now.
I can't see them.
No, they're hanging candles right now.
Oh, that's cool.
Watching us record, wondering what the hell we're doing.
We're watching them hang candles.
That's a good point.
And telling people about it.
Yeah.
One of the other things that I think is important to examine is the biases that come up when you're doing this type of work. One is confirmation bias. Do you know what that is?
No, I do not.
No?
No, I mean, you're the expert here.
I'm surprised a lot of
I probably do.
I'm not surprised. I'm sure is what I mean to say. I'm sure a lot of our listeners do not understand what that is either.
I mean, I'm sure I've heard it before once you tell me. So is that like when you pick up like a little bit of evidence, that you have to look at it with like an unbiased kind of viewpoint?
Yeah,
in order
a way.
to. Okay, yeah, let's hear it.
Yeah, like be unbiased is kind of what it boils down to.
Okay.
It's basically the tendency to recall things in a way that aligns with your beliefs.
Oh, okay.
So even when you're doing like other kinds of research, you're looking at the evidence and you're trying to fit it into what you're looking for instead of just taking it for what it is.
So I was kind of there.
Yeah, definitely.
Almost.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's not really something how many people really are doing research?
Right.
That would have an understanding of it. But that's why I think it's important that there should be some type of regulation in the field so that everybody is operating off a certain kind of framework.
You're never going to get that though, right? Because this isn't really, it's not science. It's like a pseudoscience. It's something kind of in between.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, the best thing you can do is try to come up with your own, like you said before, your own framework of standards and practices within your team.
Yeah.
To make
what
sure
works for you, what doesn't. Yeah. Like Google things like ethical framework. See what comes up, see what works for you, see what doesn't, see what's relevant, see what isn't.
Yeah.
See how you can tailor different things to work within the field.
Yeah.
One of the other biases is recall bias. That is when you don't recall the events in the way that they occurred. And this happens, I feel, especially when like emotions are heightened, like when you're out in the field and it's dark and something happens and, you might get a little bit scared. You might get a little bit anxious and it's a little more difficult to recall things the way that they might have happened. And people in general, we're not good historians on things like we don't make a good witness. It's a known fact that people, they don't have a good recall. But that's also why I think it's nice that a lot of things are recorded for us when we're doing this.
Well, yeah, and that even works kind of the opposite way too, right?
Yeah.
Like we'll record something, right? And we'll hear it and we're like freaking out because we're like, oh my God, did you hear that? It sounded like it said. And then the more you review it, you take it home, you play it on a speaker for everybody to hear.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my God, what is that? Then you put the headphones on. And once you put the headphones on, well, then that changes everything a lot of the times, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, because you could hear it clearer and you're like, oh, that was like clearly, I brushed up against something there. And, I could hear the zipper with the headphones on brushing up against something. So
right. Or, you know what that is? That's definitely their baseboard heat.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Another bias that you run into is sample bias, which is not having an accurate representation of the population that you want to study.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is something that is seen a lot within the field of paranormal investigations and research, because there might be locations that other people may have been able to investigate that maybe don't exist. Maybe you don't have access to anymore. So you're losing out on that population. Maybe there are people who have haunted houses that aren't telling anyone and you're not able to go into there because, there is a lot of stigma within this field, within the land of the paranormal.
Realm.
Yeah, within the realm. People don't want to talk about it. People don't want to put it out there. They kind of want to hide it. So you don't really get a true sample of people who are being affected by this.
Yeah, I mean, I welcome it.
Yeah.
I completely welcome it. You want to tell me your crazy story? I will listen to it and process it. I love it. I like to hear them all.
Yeah, I agree. And even better if you want to let us come into your house or your business and investigate it. That's even more fun. And as a team, I feel like at least one member on the team would benefit from having an understanding of trauma-informed care. Because like you mentioned earlier, you need to be prepared to provide support to address any distress that the clients might be experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
And doing that in a trauma-informed way is your best option.
Well, that's all you, though.
Yeah.
You would pick that up before, like I would. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You would see the signs if there was like some sort of trauma in their life that, that they were going through, that you'd be able to say, oh, yeah, that's classic,
Well, not only that, but you have to look at it from the lens of, we're doing this, right? And we're seeking this out because we enjoy doing this.
Yeah.
But there are people who are experiencing this and it causes them trauma.
Oh, they're not having fun. Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Okay, I see. Yeah.
So you need to also be able to address that and have that understanding of how to work with people who, it's not something that they're welcoming or something that they want and they don't know how to get rid of it. And It might be causing issues within their personal lives, within their professional lives, within relationships that they have. Maybe some of their family has moved out and won't come back into the home because of it. So they have different experiences and traumas that are surrounding this activity that's in their home or their business. And I also think that when you're operating within these, you need to hold yourself and your team accountable. You have to uphold and maintain the guidelines, the practices, the ethics, be consistent, maintain that integrity so that you are able to provide the best possible service to your clients. And I feel like that too, like operating within these ideas is the best way to make yourself well known, right? Because not that there's like a network of people out there sharing their ghost stories with each other, but you know, if someone does experience and they're able to pass that information on, like, hey, this team came into my house and they were really professional, they were really kind, and they really supported us, not only during, but before, after. They let us know they're always available for us, you know, like different things like that, being able to maintain that level of integrity and ethics when you're investigating is the best way to work. And I just feel like it instills confidence in the people that you're working with, and it lets them know that you care about them and that you're taking the situation that they're facing seriously and you're trying to find the best possible solution for them.
The best way you could anyway.
Right. Because again, don't forget, if you're not the person to help them, you're trying to find someone who is. Yeah. You know, you're not just going, oh, I don't know what that is. Sorry. You know, you're like, hey, I never really saw anything like this before, but you know what? Let me call this person and see if they know anything about it or somebody who might be able to help you. Don't put that on them either, right? Like, don't say, oh, I don't know what this is. I'm sorry. Call somebody else. Call this guy down the street.
Like, you want to facilitate that conversation. Yeah.
Right. Like you kind of reach out and do that networking to help them. Mm-hmm. Stepping away from that dry aspect of ethics. Another thing that really bothers me, I don't know if it bothers you as much as me, or even Jeff, as much as it bothers me. The dilemma where we get spirits that are always asking for help.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. You got to kind of bring Jeff up in that conversation, right? Yeah.
I mean, I definitely don't think it's funny.
No, but
it bothers me.
He gets that a lot. He gets that help a lot.
Yeah, he does when he's doing his Estes sessions. Yeah,
he does.
Yeah. But I feel like the one thing that you guys, I don't know, that isn't really taken into consideration, and I don't think anybody really talks about it, is so you're doing the Estes session and you have the person that's wearing the headphones and they have the blindfold on and they aren't able to see you. They aren't able to hear you. They're just repeating what is being said through the spirit box, through their headphones.
Right.
And then you have the other person on the other end who's asking questions. Right. Mm-hmm. And then they're getting those responses. And that's usually me, right? I'm usually the person asking the questions. So I'm kind of having this conversation with the unknown and they're asking for help. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, because of me, because of, you know, my background as a social worker, the jobs that I've had, like, of course I want to help them. So I'm asking, how can I help you? And they can't answer. They don't answer. And it makes me so upset because then I'm like, I'm leaving and I'm worried. I'm genuinely worried about them.
Or it's not related at all, right? You just have the guy under the headphones saying, you know, help. I heard help, whatever.
Yeah.
And, you know, you're trying to have a conversation right after that because of your background, right?
Right.
But it might not be anything. Maybe it was just a blip in the radio, or they're not, I don't want to say tuned in yet, but they're not in that state yet where they're really blasting off conversations, right? Like we've seen.
Right.
Yeah.
So because it bothered me, I started to look into it, actually, because it was bothering me so much. Because we were getting it so often and in places where, I don't know, people really did, I feel like, would have needed help. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I learned is that it's actually one of the most common EVPs that's recorded. Mm-hmm. The spirits are asking for help. It's not only an EVP, it's said through Estes sessions. It's just the most common thing that you're hearing when you're getting that direct communication.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Help. Mm-hmm. And like we're interpreting it as a cry for help, that the spirit needs help. Mm-hmm. But then when you look at it from like the science aspect, they're saying that it's actually a type of audio pareidolia.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, pareidolia is your brain's way of creating patterns that look like things that are familiar to us. Mm-hmm. So, we're saying look like things, right? When you're thinking of cloud formations and you're seeing different animals, different shapes within the clouds, that's pareidolia.
Yep. And how you always see faces in the woods, knots in trees.
Yeah. Different things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Even the Rorschach test, the ink blots, when you're looking at them.
I didn't even think about that. That's cool. Yeah.
Like they're not actually butterflies. They're just, abstract.
It's a blob of ink on paper that was folded in half.
Abstract image that your brain is then turning into something it's familiar with, a familiar pattern. And it's happening the same thing when you're hearing things, right? The audio.
Oh, so that's interesting. So like visual pareidolia, we see a lot of faces, right? Like I said.
Right.
So if it's a type of audio pareidolia, that would make sense. There's like a certain handful of words, common words that everybody gets.
Right. So that's one of the things that they say it could be, but it causes you to detect maybe a word that isn't actually there. And then it's also like, who is misinterpreting it, right? Is it the person who's hearing it on the headphones, or is it the person who it's being reported to?
Oh, right.
That person on the other end who's hearing it.
I mean, so it's important whoever's on the headphones that they're trying to interpret full words.
But at the same time, how difficult that is, right?
It's
They're
tough.
gone like so quick, the words.
Yeah.
And so some other theories based on the spirits asking for help. Do they have a limited ability to communicate their needs to us? Or do they believe that we should be able to help them? That we need to figure out on our own how to help them? Mm-hmm. So is it a matter where they can say help, but they can't elaborate on help? Do they not have the ability? Do they not have the energy? Do they not have the resources to do that, to communicate what they truly need? Mm. Or do they think, I'm telling you to help me and you should figure it out on your own?
Well, let's think about it a little differently. What if it's not a two-way conversation?
Right.
Right. What if it's just a recording of something that happened in the past, right?
Right. Like it's not an intelligent haunting.
Now it's not intelligent. Now you're not having a conversation, right? You're just getting random.
Yeah. Yeah. You're getting that like leftover energy that's just kind of like imprinted.
Yeah. So I have a quick question for you then.
Okay.
If you're using some of these methods and
there's Miranda with her DIY projects.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys could hear that, but the banging on the, excuse me for 1 second. Did you hear a chirp when she came in?
A little.
Oh my God. So anyway, say you're using these methods, right? Mm-hmm. And you're using them in front of clients. Mm-hmm. How do you go about explaining to them what you're doing without saying, this is an exact science, right? Because it's not. It's not an exact science. All we know is that sometimes we go into an Estes session and we blow our minds, right? We're like, oh my God, like that was crazy.
Right.
Other times it's just nonsense. So
right.
I guess you got to just approach it as like, all right, this is our theory of what's going on here.
In a way, yes. What you're saying is right. It's a theory, right? It's your theory that we're communicating with something that's intelligent and is able to communicate with us, and we're asking questions and we're getting direct responses. And when those responses make sense and you're able to, again, find that pattern, then you're taking it as...
Or get confirmation, right?
Right.
From the people.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. Then you're taking it as direct communication, that you truly are being able to have that conversation.
Or at least some sort of form of mediumship, right?
Yeah, in a way, right?
Yeah.
In a way, it kind of almost has to be.
Yeah.
I mean, there's really no other way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's almost like you have to almost explain to them that, when we use this method, you may not get anything. It might not make any sense. It might not make sense to you, to me, to anyone. But sometimes when we do this, we do get things that make sense.
Yeah.
And direct communication, direct responses, things that are very relevant to what we're asking. Mm-hmm. And that's when it really kind of pays off. And you really feel like you do have that spirit communication. Mm-hmm. One of the other things that they look at when you're getting these is the spirit trying to test our intuition. So do they want to say, I need help? And then they want to see if you can tune into your intuition to determine how you can help them. Mm-hmm. Or what type of help do they need? Do they not know what kind of help they need? Can they not tell you? Or do they have other priorities that are taking precedence over telling you what kind of help they need?
Mm-hmm.
Is there other things they need to communicate that are more important? The last thing that they look at is, could it be a timing issue?
Right.
Like if you had come a couple days earlier, if you came the next night, would you get them telling you how to help them?
Mm-hmm.
But you're just not there at the right time. So they maybe don't have the energy, the means, or the need to tell you that they need help.
Or time and communication work differently.
Right.
Where they are compared to where we are.
Right. One of the last topics I want to touch on is just another topic that really kind of has bothered me. You and I have taken a number of tours and we've gone to a number of different sites and locations. And it always seems that there are always hauntings in these big lavish homes, these mansions that everyone, refers to. And what I like to call this is the ghosts of ethical and moral shortcomings.
Did you come up with that on your own?
I did.
Okay. Can't wait to hear this one.
Through reading all of this and learning all about this, that's kind of what I've come to name it as, the ghosts of our ethical and moral shortcomings.
Do you care to explain? Like what?
No.
Oh, come on.
Nope. So thanks, guys. That's all we got. So they're basically, you're looking at ghost stories that are taking place and how they're cautionary tales that enforce societal norms. And they're used to keep people in line in a way.
Okay.
And the stories, they might focus on punishing transgressions, whether it be violence, infidelity, or even greed.
Okay.
And you look at time periods and what the ghost stories are, and then you're able to see what's haunting them in that time period. Morally, ethically, right? What are their values
Mm-hmm.
The stories from deeply religious periods, they would feature ghosts that are seeking absolution or stories of divine justice.
Mm. So right? We're talking like some Charles Dickens shit here, huh?
In a way. Yeah.
Christmas Carol, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like, you could find both in that story, right? Not only absolution, but...
I'm sorry, what did you call this again?
I call it...
This whole concept?
Okay, I call it the ghosts of our ethical and moral shortcomings.
It's pretty much Charles Dickens.
Right, in a way. So that's one form, right? Is it the ghosts are seeking absolution and there are stories of divine justice when you're going through like a religious period? There are certain periods they might be sharing their local folklore and superstition surrounding their beliefs about death, about burial practices, and even the spirit world. They're giving you insight into everyday beliefs of the people that are in this location. And then, you think about the times when we maybe didn't understand scientific aspects of natural phenomena.
Oh, so of course it's the ghosts. The ghosts are, anything you can't explain is a ghost story. Yeah.
Back to the time when the unexplained event, they gave it a supernatural explanation.
Mm-hmm.
So
because they believed in that stuff. I mean, they really, really did believe in that.
They did.
Yeah. Science wasn't, science was around. It just
wasn't advanced.
Yeah, it's advanced. Yeah.
Yeah. So before germs were known to cause illness, they were looking at a higher power that was making them sick.
Well, how about alcohol? Come on, you know this one. What do they call alcohol?
A spirit?
Yeah. Why?
I don't know.
You know why?
No, I don't.
They thought it was supernatural.
They thought alcohol was supernatural?
Supernatural, yeah. The spirits were, you were basically ingesting this drink, and the spirits were causing you to act the way you did.
Get out.
Yeah, that's a real thing.
I never heard that before. I feel like that's a topic for a podcast episode.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That is a really interesting one.
There, I got some more research to do.
There you go.
Yeah, she's over here. She's rolling her hands together like Mr. Burns. Excellent.
But yeah, so you were looking at time periods when they were giving supernatural explanation to things that they just didn't have explanations for yet.
Mm-hmm.
Also, ghost stories, they can tell you a lot about political and social climates for the time period. Early Americans, they were looking at anxieties about the wilderness and encounters with the indigenous people.
Mm-hmm.
Remember we took that tour locally and they talked about the Grasshopper War?
Yeah, you should explain the Grasshopper War.
So it was two little boys and one little boy was like on the colonist side, and one little boy was an indigenous person, and they got into a fight over a grasshopper, and the parents became involved, and it led to causing a big war.
And this was in Luzerne County, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Pennsylvania, in Luzerne County.
Wilkes-Barre area.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I personally listened to the story, and right at this location, I'm thinking to myself, what they're doing is they're making the native people sound like savages, like everyone did. So I go home and I start researching this grasshopper war to learn that it wasn't real. It was something that was created to do exactly that.
Oh, they made it up to make the other side look.
Yes. And while it isn't really a ghost story, it still is a story that serves this purpose. You know?
Oh, yeah.
They're seeking to explain their anxieties for dealing with the indigenous people at the time. You know, so you're looking at that lingering effect from the colonial past. Back then, you know, and that story has survived, what? Oh my God, 300 years? Mm-hmm. During the Victorian era, you were seeing repressed sexuality, social anxiety surrounding class and morality, and the houses would have secrets and tragic female figures.
The funny thing about that is, right, because we were talking about this a little while back, right? Mm-hmm. Didn't the doctors perform certain medical procedures in that era for women to calm them down?
Yeah, I mean, you think about it.
It's very ironic.
So, not really prepared to talk about this subject.
Gotcha.
But if you think about it, right, the word hysterical is specifically meant to describe women, right? You think about another term that's used, hysterectomy.
Okay.
Right? And what does that describe?
Well, that's the removal of...
Right. Female reproductive organs. So if you're talking about someone being hysterical, you're usually talking about a female or someone with a uterus being hysterical.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was actually like a medical diagnosis that was given, like hysterical.
Oh, hysteria. Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah.
There's a lot more too that goes into it. So if people want to, they can research it on their own. But yeah, so you're looking at the Victorian era when there's repressed sexuality, social anxiety surrounding class and morality, and their houses in the ghost stories, they would feature secrets. They would have tragic female figures. You're looking at the bride ghosts. That's what I kind of term them as, is the bride ghosts. Mm-hmm. When, you know, the woman before her wedding night, she learns of a tragic story and she falls out the window or jumps out the window, or there's something else happening and someone pushes her out of the window and, you know, she falls to her death. And then she comes back and she haunts the house, haunts the land, whatever it might be. And then you're looking at modern urban legends.
It just reminds me of the TV show Ghosts.
Oh, yeah. They actually have one. She's from the Victorian era.
Yeah. What's her name? The character's name, Hetty, I think. Yeah. I think that's it.
Yeah.
She had her tragic story where she ended up falling off a balcony.
Yeah. She fell out the window.
Yeah. Or at least that's what everybody thought happened.
Yeah.
Right? And then they reveal that.
Yeah.
The ghost revealed that it was a lot different than that. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's really common during that Victorian era, that, you know, there's tragic female stories or the house has secrets. Right?
It's usually their husbands were just really awful people though, right?
Well, yeah. And don't forget, I mean, that was a time when a lot of the medication they were using was like opiates and cocaine.
Oh, hell yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, people weren't.
Hey, your baby has a cough? Fuck it.
Right.
Give him some cocaine. That'll get it done.
Yeah, that'll fix all your problems.
Yep.
Yeah. What a time to be alive. Sometimes I think about going back to that time and just like talking about antibiotics.
How would you explain that? You can't explain it here.
You have to use ghosts to explain it.
You have to use ghosts. You would have to. You can't tell them you're going to give them a dose of this bug, you know, or I shouldn't say that because that's a vaccine. I'm getting that wrong. But you can't tell them, hey, I'm going to give you this fungus, right?
Right. You'd have to be like, do you see this green spot on the bread? It's a bread spirit.
It's fine. Eat it.
Yeah. It's a bread ghost. It's the spirits that inhabitate your bread. And if you eat them, they will take away your sore throat.
No, come on. Oh my God. Even vaccines though,
You know that earache you have? If you eat the bread spirits.
Vaccines are even better. That's even a better story then, right? We made this dead version of the flu virus. We put it in this syringe and we're going to inject you with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's a bunch of dead ghosts in a syringe. Let me inject you with it and spirits will take care of it. Like, yeah. Yeah, it's funny.
Again, it would be so interesting to go back in time and have these conversations with people.
Yeah.
Because they had such a different understanding of life.
Yeah.
It would be so interesting.
And that's why time exists.
Yeah.
You have to listen, humanity, we kind of got to ease ourselves into things, right?
Yeah.
You can't do it all. Yeah, work up to it. Can't do it all at once.
No. And then you have now our modern urban legends, and they tend to focus on crime, fears of technology, and anonymity of city life. You're able really to see like what they're lacking in morals and values and ethics. There's a symbolic representation of the consequences of your past action that's reflected in the modern ghost stories. And one of the important things is that a house is more likely to be haunted based on its history and not the wealth of the owners.
Mm-hmm.
So the history of the home or the land is more likely to lead to a haunting than the wealth of the owners or the wealth of the property that's on the land. Most every home that exists currently or has existed in the past has had people that have lived and died in the home. So it's not unlikely to think that any home could be haunted. Mansions and your classic hauntings, right? What is that saying about the wealth distribution within the world? Not only just in the United States, but in the world. You're thinking about that traditional Gothic ghost story. And what does that tell us about the wealth of the time, right? They need to own something. Mm-hmm. There's not really like the regard for respect. There's just a desire to own possessions. These stories are really good at reflecting those social inequalities. There's the haunted mansion, right? Is it home to a former owner, or are you looking at a mistreated servant? And then that's also working to highlight those power dynamics at the time as well. And you also see during these times, right? You're looking at the gender roles, and the female ghosts are the victims, but the male ghosts, they really can't let go of their authority. So again, you're going back to the female ghosts are the bride ghosts who are tragically killed under these horrible circumstances. Mm. And the men are coming back because they just can't let go of their power and their authority. I think all the time about situations where you go and you investigate and they're like, oh, don't sit here, don't do that, because this spirit doesn't like that. They'll get mad at you if you do it. And it's always a male spirit. And that's what it makes me think of when I learned about this. Ghost stories also serve as a way for marginalized groups to process and remember historical trauma and injustices. So you think of different things like slavery, like genocide, even colonization. Stories like these, they represent unresolved pain and injustices of the past, and it's kind of a way to be able to pass those stories down generationally. In movies, when they talk about hauntings, you're usually seeing a reason for the haunting, right? There's revenge, there's unfinished business, there's justice, there's moral failures, different things like that. They also serve as moral narratives that surround historical events and historical traumas in movies as well. Ghost stories, when you really kind of like boil it down to like the basic level, they take the lessons that you're taught since you were a child and they mix in the fear of death that we have. Mm-hmm. And then they really kind of work together to really like drive that point home for you. Like, don't do this because of ghosts. And then you can almost think of a ghost story as a cultural artifact, something like from that time that's preserved. Mm-hmm. You're going to like this part. Even when there's technological advances that are made, they even tend to create ghost stories.
Like what?
So during the Industrial Revolution, we had stories of factory ghosts.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's pretty common, though. That's a common thing.
Yeah. And when we started to use electricity, there were ghost stories of ghosts in the wires, which I feel kind of goes back to not understanding what is causing something, right? Like when you're going back to like the diseases and the germs, and it's kind of like you're seeing that replay with the wires, with the ghosts in the wires, because they don't really know how the electricity works.
So again, you're afraid of something. You got to make a ghost story up for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. When you don't understand
or you don't
something,
understand it is what.
Yeah.
I get you.
It must be a spirit.
Yeah. Well, even with like telephones, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you had Edison.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Graham Bell did the telephone. Alexander.
Oh, you're right.
Bell.
Yeah. Graham Bell. Yeah.
I think they worked together.
Yeah, they might have worked together. But wasn't there something like when people started using telephones, it was scary to them at first, right?
Yeah.
How could we get this person on how am I talking to so-and-so that lives a mile away?
Right.
Because realistically, that's probably what it was at that time, right?
Yeah,
they didn't
true.
have long distance, not long distance, but.
Yeah. And people shared phones and you'd have to go to one location for
direct lines.
It was really interesting.
Mom would buy a phone and run a line to your house, a direct line to your house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're rich, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I'd imagine that'd be pretty scary to people too when they start using those technologies.
Yeah.
We have horror movies now about smartphones and social media apps. You know what I mean? It's
really
kind of the same thing.
Yeah, you could use anything to kind of serve as that narrative, or that lesson that you're looking to teach.
You're making up stories for what's current, basically.
Yeah. I like when the stories act as a window to the past, and they do almost give you a really good insight into things that they were dealing with at the time. Or, trying to figure out at the time. And they show our fears, our beliefs, social structure, cultural values. You're able to analyze the themes that you're getting in the stories and get a deeper understanding of the human experience throughout different eras and time periods. And then going back to what you said about the movies, in the 19th century, we start to see the internalization of these horrors. The monsters are within us. They're not outside, they're within. And then this kind of reaches its height when we see Freud and his beliefs come out and start to be popular. So in the 19th century, you're internalizing it, I'm the monster. And that's just kind of what it made me think of, the movies where you're the call is coming from inside the house. They're already in here. That just in a way makes it more intimate. It's not really something you can escape. It's within you.
Okay.
It's almost like in the 19th century, they kind of understand the whole thing that I'm talking about, right? We're looking at our moral and ethical shortcomings are playing out through the ghost stories that we pass down through different time periods. And that's kind of what they're looking at in the 19th century is we are the monsters. Yeah. I'm just
we are monsters, humanity. In general, we are monsters.
Yeah. But just wanted to highlight these topics. I do feel like they're not really discussed enough within the field. And with everything else, you kind of have to explore them, establish principles for ethical behaviors. And then you need to use that to guide your decision making, prevent harm to your clients, foster trust and understanding within the communities where you reside, where you're practicing this craft. You also need to take into consideration whether the values and ethics align with your own personal beliefs. So basically, don't work with a team or an individual if your beliefs are in opposition, and ensure that you do have a strong set of ethical beliefs and values within yourself. This ensures that you are able to consider those beliefs and ethics of someone else that you're working with, right? And then you're able maybe to come together and find some kind of compromise on how you're going to work in that framework. Your ethical beliefs and values, they also ensure that you're considering the broader influence of your actions, the bigger picture of it all, right? And how does this affect the community as a whole? Not just your team, not just your clients. It also ensures that you're making the conscious choice that benefits society and allows you to positively contribute instead of taking away from it. That's all that I have. Do you have anything else that you want to discuss?
No, this one's been very informative.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, you did some good research there. You put your time in, got the homework done.
Yeah, I really put my social work hat on to really just jump in. But I also would really like to hear some listener stories, some thoughts on the topics. Does anybody have any stories that they've learned that kind of can be highlighted in these different themes that you're seeing play out throughout history?
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Anything local that you know, or anything within your family even that's been passed down, right? Has anyone maybe considered an ethical framework when you're working with the paranormal in any aspect? Is this something that you've considered, right? Your values, your beliefs, the ethics that you want to utilize? Or do you have a place you want us to investigate? Any topics you want to see us cover?
Just throwing that out there, huh?
Yeah. Reach out. Let us know. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can find us on Podcast of the Paranormal, Facebook and Instagram. So feel free, reach out, message us. We're happy to hear from you. We'd love to hear from you. Where you listen to your podcast, feel free to leave us a review. That makes us a lot easier for other people to find. You can find us at podcastoftheparanormal.com. Do we have a link there where people could email us?
Yeah, emails there, social media links for wherever you listen to podcasts. It's all there.
Okay. Check out the website. Check out our social media. Thanks for spending your time with us. We hope you enjoy it.
Thank you.